Hey guys, MetalDriver89 here, bringing you a DC review, and this time I'm going to be taking a look at the DC Multiverse Originals Batman action figure. So looking at the box, we see here Batman through the window, his accessories, and this nice throwback image of Batman, which looks very reminiscent of a lot of the promo material from the 80s. Look at the side of the box, you see image of Batman on that side. Same image on the other side. On the back you see the rest of the figures that are in this wave, which includes the Joker and Poison Ivy. The back of the box says, the Cape Crusader defends Gotham City against the world's most dangerous criminal masterminds. Alright, I'm really excited to open up this Batman figure because this is a throwback to the '89 Batman action figure, the original one. So for those of you that don't know, back in the 80s, Kenner did the license and produced a lot of the action figures for DC. Their toy line was called the DC Superpowers. Then in the late 80s, Toy Biz had the license for the DC characters, and what they did was during the 1989 release of the Batman movie, they released a lot of 1989 licensed Batman action figures. So they had figures like Batman, the Joker, and I believe Bob the Goon, along with a few accessories, playsets, and vehicles. And then as well, they also released a lot of DC figures that were similar to the Superpowers action figures, but slightly different. So a lot of them included Superman, Robin, I think a Wonder Woman, The Flash, I believe, and a few Batman villains. So again, I'm really excited. So this is, as I mentioned, a throwback to the Toy Biz Batman action figures. I did own that figure as a kid. I actually still have it, so we'll see a comparison of that. So this is going to be really cool. So let's go ahead and open him up and take a closer look at Batman. Alright, now that we have Batman out of the box, he looks pretty nice, and he comes with two pieces of accessories, so we'll go ahead and take a look at those first. So looking at the accessories, he comes with a batarang that's attached to a rope, which looks really nice. It's got that design from the 1989 Batman film, which looks really good. And it also comes with a grappling gun. It's got a hole in there, so you can actually peg the batarang rope in here, and voila. And there you have a grappling hook with a rope attached to it, and it extends out, so it's about this long. So not too bad. So it's great for figure posing, or if you want to have them displayed, or just have fun playing with the figure, so that's nice. And the original Batman 1989 Toy Biz figure, which is what this figure is based on, also came with a similar accessory. Unfortunately, I do not have the grappling gun accessory. I think I lost that. All I could find was the batarang. So again, you can see the two side by side. So this one here being the original Toy Biz one, and this one being the newly released Mattel version. Alright, now let's take a look at the Batman action figure itself. So looking at the body, as you can see, it's clearly designed, is based on the 1989 film. Now it's not exactly 100% accurate, because this is more based on the 1989 Batman action figure. So that figure was based on the film, and this one is based on the 89 figure, which is based on the film. So as you can see, it's not going to be 100% accurate to what Batman looked like in that movie, because there's only so much accuracy toy companies could put into action figures back in the 80s and 90s. They weren't as advanced as they are now. So looking at the head sculpt, it looks really nice. It looks like it could pass as a comic book version of Batman. It does look like a toy. It doesn't look very detailed, but again, this is based on the '89 toy, so it's not going to have a likeness to Michael Keaton, because the original Toy Biz figures didn't really have a great likeness to Michael Keaton. So looking at the rest of the body, he does have his belt, which looks pretty spot on from the film. He's got these indents, these designs on his gloves. He's got the same on the boots, so the boots look more accurate than the gloves do. There's not a lot of paint detail on the body, just on the yellow and the bat symbol. So if you notice the bat symbol, it's more of a classic bat symbol. It's not the one from the actual 89 film, or at least the one he had on the suit. Again, the original action figure looked like this, though. It didn't have the 89 symbol. He does have the scallops, these, whatever you call them, on the cowl. So overall, it looks pretty neat. Not a whole lot of detailing on the figure, no shadowing or anything, but again, because it's a throwback to the original figure, I think it looks pretty nice. Now as far as the paint detailing on the face, it looks pretty good. I don't see any issues, just maybe a little bit of bleeding there. Then also taking a look at the cape, we do get a soft goods cape, which is really nice. It's not a very large cape, it's kind of a small toy-like cape that you would see on action figures. What I mean by that, I mean action figures that are geared more towards children rather than collectors. Although it still would have been nice to get a better looking cape than this, but I'm sure if you know a good customizer, you can easily put a good solid cape on this Batman figure, which is what I think I'm going to do. If I do end up doing that, I'll make a separate video just showing that off. So yeah, I really like how he looks. It looks pretty decent. Not too many details, but anytime I get a 1989 Batman figure, it's always a win for me. Alright, going over the articulation, his head rotates side to side. It's a bit stiff, but it works. His head goes that high up and that far down, so I'm not sure if it's on a ball joint or a hinge, but usually the DC Multiverse figures' heads are on ball joints. The shoulders have a hinge that allows it to go that far out. It can rotate all the way around. There is a bicep swivel. He has a single jointed elbow, which was pretty stiff, so just be aware of that. I usually don't have much breakage with my Mattel figures, so it's not something that happens, but still just be aware of that. The wrist is on a hinge, which just allows it to go that far down and that high up, and then there's a swivel there. He does have an ab crunch, which allows it to go pretty far down. That's actually pretty good range of motion there. And he can go, actually, I don't know, can he go back? Doesn't look like mine is allowing me to do that, and I'm not going to force it, so I don't want to break this. So he can't go back, at least on mine. Mine doesn't do that, so that's a bummer, but he does have a really good ab crunch that goes forward, so that's good. There is a waist swivel. The hips are on a ball joint, which allows him to go really, really far. So there's a good spread there. The legs can go really, really high up, which is nice. He goes that far down. There is a thigh swivel. He has double jointed knees, which is really nice. Always love it when a DC figure by Mattel has double jointed knees. The hinge allows the ankle to go that high up, that far down, and there is pretty decent ankle pivot. So that is really nice. So articulation on this figure is really good, pretty solid. So as I mentioned several times in this review, this figure is based on the original 1989 Toy Biz Batman figure. So here is a side-by-side comparison with those two. So here we have the original 1989 Toy Biz Michael Keaton Batman. So again, as you can see, the original figure didn't have the best likeness to Michael Keaton. So the new one, again, doesn't have that likeness. So you can definitely tell that this new one is inspired by this old figure. So that's really cool. So I love that throwback. I think that's really nice. And then just to see how this figure looks in comparison to an actual Michael Keaton figure, here is the NECA one. So as you can see, the comparison is really night and day. This one looks spot on to Michael Keaton's version of Batman from the 1989 film, down to the correct symbol, the actual bodysuit, and of course the magnificent head sculpt by NECA. This one doesn't look like Michael Keaton. It just looks honestly looks like a comic book Batman dressed in the 1989 suit, which I'm okay with. I think that looks pretty good. Again, especially since this isn't really supposed to look exactly like Michael Keaton, it's supposed to look like the original action figure. Alright, before I sign off, I did want to quickly show you guys the custom cape that I made. Now, I know in the video I said that I was going to make a separate video for that. I figured I would just kind of edit this part in at the during the last section, just to show this off. So here is my custom cape that I made for this Batman, and really the only gripe that I had with the figure was the cape that Mattel gave us. Now I will commend Mattel for giving us a soft goods cape rather than a plastic cape, but the cape was still kind of crappy. So I went ahead and made my own. I know how to make capes. I've done them before several times in the past. So this is how it turned out, and I think it looks really nice. Not to toot my own horn, the scallops came in pretty nicely, so you can see there. So it is a very large cape that I made. I actually made it a little too long, so in the film the cape was not this long. It came up to, I think, maybe his ankle area. That's as long as the cape was in the movie. But then again, this figure isn't a 100% accurate version of Michael Keaton. It's more based on the original toy. So I'm okay with taking a little bit of liberty with making the cape a little long. So this cape really, in my opinion, enhanced the figure a lot. So if you know how to make your own custom capes, or you know a customizer out there that would make a cape that you would want to put on this Batman, just be aware that it was actually a little difficult getting this cape on, mainly because I was trying to remove the cowl, because usually when I'm making capes and I put them on Batman's, I remove the cowl along with the head, and then what I do is I put the cape over the neck piece and then put the cowl back on the Batman figure over the cape. In this case, the cowl was glued on really well onto the neck piece. It was really hard to peel it off, and it got to the point where I just kind of had to give up on taking the cowl off, because I was just worried that I would rip the cowl or cut it by accident. So what I ended up doing was cutting the collar piece of the cape and putting it underneath the cowl, but it still turned out pretty nicely, so I like how this looks. So I really like how this turned out. In my opinion, it really makes the figure better. With that being said, though, I really did enjoy this figure, even with the gripe of the cape, because that was really the only thing I did not like about the figure. I think it was a really solid piece. I think this is great for Batman collectors, especially those who are big fans, like myself, of the Michael Keaton Batman, the 1989 film, or just the Tim Burton series. Or even if you're just a fan of the original Toy Biz line, this is a great throwback. This is probably going to be the only Keaton-inspired 6-inch Batman that we get from Mattel. So, if you like this review, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, why don't you subscribe so you can see more toy reviews. And if you want to see more Batman, DC, or even Marvel-related reviews, why don't you let me know in the comments below, because I usually do WWE reviews, but every now and then I like to do something a little different. As always, stay tuned till the end to see a slideshow of this figure with his new cape in action, and I'll see you next time.